Hey everybody, it is Quicken and welcome back to Tattoo Talk Tuesday. So it's your first time on my channel, welcome. Feel free to subscribe and hit the bell if you want to see videos because I don't know how YouTube is working with their subscriptions right now, but there's a lot of rumors going around. So if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit the bell and subscribe. Anyway, you don't even know what video this is. This is Tattoo Talk Tuesday. So if it is your very first time joining us for Tattoo Talk Tuesday, Tattoo Talk Tuesday is our weekly interactive talk show where I try to take viewers submitted questions and lend my experience to you guys as a tattoo collector. So today's episode is actually inspired by the Instagram How to Not Get Tattooed. I've been getting a ton of questions about this Instagram account in the comment section and I haven't been ignoring them. I actually have been following this Instagram account for a while, back when they had only like a couple followers. I just checked this morning and they have about 88K. You can check them out on Instagram. If you've never heard of it, it is an Instagram where they take screenshots from clients and potential clients and they post them from like emails and DMs and stuff. And it's called How to Not Get Tattooed because it's basically a showcase of like all the just shit that tattoo artists have to handle. Or, hi, you can come in here. I only have one very vocal cat. So a lot of the comments I've been getting about this Instagram, and like I said, I follow it, I read it. It comes up the most on my Instagram feed, I think because I interact with it so much and because I always see you guys liking it, the algorithm shows me this content all the time. So today I wanted to talk about like an online tattoo survival guide. I get a lot of questions from you guys about the Instagram and they all seem like well-natured, like the questions I get from you guys, and I just wanted to share my take on it and like what you need to know to not end up on this Instagram. Now, I know that we all come either on my YouTube channel or into tattoo culture at different times in our lives with different experience levels. With me, like I started getting tattooed without much information besides the information I found on BME Zine, which was a body modification encyclopedia. So I did do a lot of stuff like with tattoo research firsthand. I made mistakes. I definitely have done some of these things that I'm going to talk about today. But what I found interesting, and I tried to sympathize with at least some of these emails that are on the Instagram, not all of them, some of them are absolute trash. But when I was at tattoo convention this last year, you know, a couple people came up to the booth to meet me, and someone I met named Justin, when I talked to him, he was like, you know, a tattoo collector. Even when we were talking, somebody stopped him and asked to take a picture of one of his tattoos. And he told me that he found my channel because he wanted to find information about being tattooed and getting tattooed, but he felt really intimidated by the process. So I really like that. I actually talked to him yesterday and I was like, hey, can I mention your story in today's episode? And he was like, yeah, I think it's a great idea. And that page is great, referring to How to Not Get Tattooed. But if you don't know the rules and the lingo, the tattoo industry is easy to do or say the wrong thing. That's what I wanted to avoid when I found your channel. I feel like there are two groups of tattooed people, those who live and breathe it and those who just want something on your skin. To me, the problem is getting that information to the other group. If they don't spend time looking for tattoos or watching videos about how will they see that type of content? So I thought that was really interesting, and thank you so much for even giving me a moment of your time. And I wanted to explore that. So I came up with 4 categories of information that I think you guys should know if you're getting your very first tattoo, if you haven't been tattooed in a little while and social media has become a big part of your tattoo experience, or if you just want to join me for what I think you should know to avoid being on How to Not Get Tattooed. So stay tuned for my interpretation of the online tattoo survival guide. So the very first thing, and I should have saved this for last because it's kind of that last hitter, but I'm going to jump into it. The very first thing I want to talk about is boundaries. I feel like a lot of the things I see on that Instagram are people stepping over the boundaries and just saying the wrong thing to a tattoo artist. I think, you know, we have to remember that tattoo artists provide us a service, and not giving them the right boundaries is basically a big violation of their personal space. I think with social media, we feel like we can interact with whoever we want in the same realm that we can interact with our friends, we can interact with online celebrities, we can interact with influencers, we can interact with tattoo artists, and I think all of us grounding ourselves and remembering boundaries is going to be very helpful in this experience. So the first thing I feel like you want to do is check the artist profile to see if they have a preferred method for contacting them. If they list a shop, I think the best way to contact them is through the shop. You know, if they say, like, for example, I work at Rose Tattoo, then you would want to contact Rose Tattoo to get an appointment with them and avoid messaging them or DMing them or leaving them a comment on one of their photos. I think the best thing to do is if you follow an Instagram account of a tattoo artist, figure out where they work and call the shop to set up an appointment. That way, you know, if you have any questions, if you feel like you have a stupid question, you call the tattoo shop and either the shop manager or the front desk person picks up the phone. That way you can, you know, if you're like, hey, I've never been tattooed before, can you guide me through this process? I think someone is a lot more likely to help you on the phone, especially if they're paid to sit there and pick up the phone. I know in my salon, we have someone who is dedicated to just making appointments, answering questions, making sure your appointment is set to be long enough or short enough, and rescheduling, things like that. I just think that the experience is going to be a lot easier for you and a lot easier for the tattoo artist. I mean, some of their commission goes to having a shop person work there to answer the phones and be a buffer for you. So if you feel shy or nervous and you feel like maybe you're gonna say something stupid in the email, I think it's just so much easier to call on the phone and talk to the shop person. Even if you're not gonna set up an appointment, you can just call and talk to them. I think that DMing a tattoo artist, if they haven't specifically said that you can DM them, is a little bit stepping over the boundary. I know as somebody, you know, who has a following on Instagram, my DMs are so out of control that it gives me a lot of anxiety, to be honest, especially seeing that number get higher and higher. I know I can't tackle it. And the friends I have who like are tattoo artists, when we start talking about social media, I hear them say a similar thing. So if they have a shop that you can call on the phone, definitely do it. I know, for example, I follow Bunny Machine on Instagram, and she is somebody who has a ton of Instagram followers, a pretty dedicated following, a very specific style of tattooing. She does all of her appointments via calling the shop on the phone and making an appointment. You can't DM her, you can't email her, and you can leave as many comments as you want on her pictures. The only way you're gonna get an appointment with her is to call the shop and set it up that way. That way, you know, nothing's lost in translation, there's no lost emails, there's no unanswered DMs, it's just cut and dry. So if email happens to be your tattoo artist's preferred method of contact, it says it on their Instagram profile, they may have listed something that they're traveling, and you can email them for an appointment. If you want to know how to do that and you want to know how to do it well, I actually made a video maybe a year or two ago about how to email your tattoo artist. There's no shame in just not really knowing the method. My method is based on doing it so many times. I think at least half of my tattoos have been through email consultations, so I feel like I kind of have the method down pat. If you feel like you have any uncertainty at all, check out that video. I think it's to the point and pretty helpful. There might be some comments in there like, you don't know how to email your tattoo artist, but do you? I don't know. There's so many things I've done along the way that have been stupid and a tattoo artist has corrected me on, so definitely check it out, no shame. So I think one of the most popular questions I ever get that I do not answer is, I emailed my tattoo artist XYZ and they haven't gotten back to me. I get it on my Tumblr, my Twitter, my Instagram, and I don't really have an answer for you, but it's something I get all the time. My best advice to you, because I've been thinking about it, I've been thinking about like what I do. Like I've actually had an experience where I emailed a tattoo artist twice and they were honest. They were like, thanks for re-emailing me, like my inbox really gets full. I think my best advice is, you know, as somebody with a crazy email situation, try to email your tattoo artist one more time. As politely as possible, just to bump your email back to the top of their inbox. I know when I'm talking to someone through email, it really helps me sometimes if I lose track, if I'm emailing somebody and something comes up and I walk away. If they email me again and they get bumped to the top of my inbox, it's usually really helpful. I mean, there's so much junk in my email that I've been trying to sort through. It's really easy to get lost in translation. However, I can't tell you how long to wait. You know, my only experience is I was going to get tattooed by Mike Ski. We had a back and forth and then we lost communication. And a couple weeks went by and I just emailed him again to just make sure. I was like, hey, we were talking, I think maybe got lost track of my email. And he did reply and say, yes, I'm extremely busy. I get all my emails sent to this email, thank you. That worked out. Sometimes that works out. However, if your artist hasn't responded to your second email, and I have to say, leave some time in between. Boundaries. 2 hours can't go by, a week can't go by. I really suggest 6 weeks minimum to go by. There might be, a specific time of week. I've seen tattoo artists say, like, I answer emails on Fridays. So I would just give your tattoo artist leniency in that and really not bother them. One of the things I see on how to not get tattooed is people who will bother tattoo artists like 3 times in the same day. And I just think it's unacceptable, and it's a great way to get yourself blocked and not get that tattoo and come off as a crazy person. There was one specific post where somebody called the tattoo artist. I don't have Facebook, but I guess you can make phone calls through Facebook. Huge violation of privacy, Email somebody, maybe email during business hours. If you don't get an email back, I can honestly say that it may just be the tattoo that you are requesting. Your email might just be too word heavy and like too hard to decipher. In my video on how to email tattoo artists, I definitely say be short. Do not say anything extra. Get to the point. Do not explain why you want a tattoo, just the tattoo you want. If your email is too word heavy, or you are talking about a tattoo that maybe this tattoo artist doesn't perform, the easiest course of action may just be to ignore your email. I think it's important to understand that the tattoo artist may be potentially too busy, too booked, or maybe just uninterested in doing your design. I have a video all about getting tattoos you love, and it might be helpful if you're worried about your tattoo artist dismissing your idea. In the video, I talk about finding tattoo artists who are a master of the style that you want. And I can understand a tattoo artist ignoring your email if you are asking for a portrait, like a black and gray portrait, and they are a traditional tattoo artist. They may just be like, I can't do that tattoo, and then just ignore it and go on to the next tattoo. The next email. If your tattoo artist has 10 emails a day or 15 emails a day, them replying to you and just saying, I don't know if I can do that tattoo, I'm really sorry, I think you should find someone else. Doing that over and over and over again can be really time consuming. And I think it's super important to remember that tattoo artists are humans. And if they do accept appointments through email, they have to manage it themselves. And you might just have your email ignored. I would say if you emailed somebody, you got back to them 6 weeks later, and you still haven't heard anything 6 weeks from then, maybe it's a tattoo they don't want to do, maybe they can't, they don't have time, but I would respect the boundary and move on. Maybe find a different artist or somebody else who is more likely to perform the tattoo you want. I would just consider that. If they're traveling, they may just be booked and they're already traveling and they just don't have time to get back to you. I would say though, don't keep bothering them. You could send them a reminder, like I said, after 6 weeks, but I wouldn't keep bothering them. I've never answered that question on Tattoo Talk Tuesday because I feel like the answer is, well, if they didn't get back to you, there's not really anything you can do. Other than call the shop. If they offer that kind of thing where you can call the shop to make appointments, then I would try that. And I would say finally, if you are not sure what a tattoo artist's preferred contact method is and you can't find anything on their Instagram, I would say to just Google their name. They might have a website. There are tattoo artists who started tattooing 10, even 5 years ago, before Instagram was basically ingrained in our lives and like the center of everything we do and all of our actions. There may be tattoo artists out there who prefer to have all of their stuff organized on a website. So I would just Google their name. Like, even Googling Rose Tattoo comes up with all the contact information for the shop. If you aren't even on Instagram, imagine the people who aren't. Methods for contacting the tattoo artist have to be available. I would say Google their name if you really don't know. So continuing on with boundaries and respecting the boundaries of our tattoo artists, one thing I see on How to Not Get Tattooed is people asking for stencils or people requesting drawings or sketches of their tattoos before their appointment. I would say if you want to ask for a stencil, don't. I think if you are in communications with your tattoo artist, maybe your consultation is through email or you've had a real life consultation, unless your tattoo artist specifically offers this service where they show you the tattoo ahead of time, I would say that they probably don't. Unless they were like, oh, in a few days I'll send you a picture of the stencil, be like, oh, cool. If they don't say that, it's because they don't offer that. There is a huge problem with tattoo theft, and I can make endless videos about tattoo copying, and I can show you how all my tattoos get copied all the time, even though I'm just trying to provide information to you guys, and you tell me, you put it out there, I deserve to take it. That's not what this video is about. I think I don't want my tattoos to be copied, and I should, you know, have my requests respected online. Is that too much to ask? We all hang out here. Can I feel safe? Anyway, tattoo artists don't want their tattoos stolen either. A little thing you might not know. It's not flattering. If they work all day on a custom tattoo, then they don't want other people to wear it. They want other people to make their own tattoos. I think that tattoo artists who steal tattoos, who just like bite stencils, they're not respected in the community. They often delete their posts after they get called out. Don't be that guy. Don't pay that guy's bills. So to help with all of this, I would say in the last couple years, tattoo artists really do not offer this anymore. When I had my hip tattooed, I went in real life for a consultation. This was back in like, I think I was like 18. I went to the shop to have a consultation. It was 45 minutes away from my house. She traced my hip where I wanted it, and she said, come back in a few days to see the sketch. So I left a deposit, came back in a few days to see the sketch, and then came back a third time to get the tattoo. So if that seems outrageous to you, that's how it used to be. So I think, you know, a couple years after that, I would occasionally see sketches like via email. Like I think maybe back in like 2009, Mike Adams sent me a sketch, and I can just guarantee you that tattoo artists don't do that anymore. And it's because of tattoo theft being so prevalent online, and they just don't want it. Tattoo artists don't like having their shit ripped off. You might think they do, they don't. So please respect their boundaries. If you're like, you didn't even send me a sketch, I don't even know what tattoo I'm getting. You can have a real life consultation with your tattoo artist. You know, if you live close to the shop. If you don't, just feel confident that you picked that tattoo artist because you love what they do and they heard you out. If you had a successful consultation via email, you just have to feel good about the tattoo you're getting. Trusting the artist is a huge thing, and I can tell you, back when, before social media, I drove 45 minutes to see my sketch, and I came back again and again to make sure it was good. Since then, you know, I feel like I've developed a method where I do trust my tattoo artists, and I'm confident about the tattoos I get, and I don't ask for sketches anymore. That's just not what I do. I had a full email consultation with Ashley Love with the first time I got tattooed by her, all through email, and she did not send me a sketch. And when I got to New York, 2 hours away, I got to her shop, we made adjustments on the tattoo, and then I got it. You know, it wasn't exactly how I wanted it, so she just added a few things, removed a few things, and it was good. So, like I said, don't expect that stuff. don't demand that stuff. And unless your tattoo artist offers it, it's probably just not something that they do. So my next point, we talked about boundaries, and now we're gonna talk about accuracy. If you are at a point where you are emailing for consultation, like I said, at least half of my tattoos are from traveling artists or artists that I did not get to talk to face to face, accuracy is going to be a big deal. So I think one of the things that I've felt self-conscious about on how to not get tattooed is measurements. So if you are unsure about the size you want of a tattoo, get a ruler. I have a little tape measure that I got from IKEA. It's like a little paper plasticky kind of tape measure. And I keep that thing like in my drawer in case I need it. And I got it for free, and it can wrap around your skin because it is a tape measure. When I got tattooed by Jessie Preston, who I have only ever consulted with via email, she is in Canada, she is in Portland, she is in New York. When I was talking back and forth with Jessie Preston, you guys might remember this from my emailing your tattoo artist video, I sent Jessie pictures next to a ruler where I wanted the tattoo. I think that this is really important. You do not have to feel weird about it. If you don't know the measurements, and I even felt bad afterwards. I was like, wait, is Jessie Canadian? Can she read this ruler? If you are unsure about this, you can go to IKEA. Maybe you have a tape measure at the house. You could go to a fabric store and get one of the soft tape measures that can wrap around. On How to Not Get Tattooed, very often I see people saying, I want my tattoo as big as an iPhone. I want my tattoo as big as a banana. I want my tattoo as big as a DVD cover. And it's like, are you asking your tattoo artist to get up and measure a DVD cover right now? Because no, you're asking too much. Like, they can't do that every time. If you're like, I want a tattoo that's 5 by 5, good. I felt self-conscious about this because I have definitely emailed Max Kuhn asking for a tattoo the size of an apple. But I think he was like, sure. But I also didn't have a ton of tattoos then, so it wouldn't have affected too much. That brings me to my next point, sending reference photos. If you are going to send a reference photo, it needs to be a brand new photo. Not some old fucking photo from Facebook that you crop to just see your upper shoulder. You need to take out this, you have one, and take a brand new photo. I think that photo references are only really important if you have other tattoos in the area and you need to show that you only want like this area tattooed. If you were like, I want a 1x1, a 2x2 tattoo, but the area is surrounded by tattoos, I would send this picture. Not this picture, just this picture. I see the wildest reference pictures on how to not get tattooed, and they borderline inappropriate. And if you remember boundaries, don't send a weirdo photo. And I forgot to say, don't hit on your tattoo artist. Like, did we forget that? That's what I mean about accuracy. And I feel like if you have one of those tape measures and if you can take a reference photo, if someone else lives in your home and can take it for you, you know, I took all those weirdo pictures for Jessie Preston and all my tattoos by her are. So, like I said, super simple. In my emails with Jessie, I said I want this, this, and this. Here is my reference photo of an image. Here's my reference photo of my physical body. And here is a ruler. So touching on reference photos, you know, you can say, I like this picture, I like this picture. I have a video all about how to not copy someone else's tattoos. I will link that. In there, I talk all about how you can use reference photos without directly stealing someone else's tattoo, but getting one inspired by someone's tattoo. Worth checking out. So that brings me to budget. One of the biggest, most cringe-worthy things on how to not get tattooed is people's understanding of tattoos and how much they cost and how much a tattoo artist is worth. Before we get into this, I have to say, tattoos last forever. They are not worth bargain hunting. They are not like a deal. Do not ask for a deal. Do not be like, I'm coming in with my buddy, can we do a deal? If your tattoo artist feels so inclined to offer you a deal, you'll find out because they will offer you one. You know, if you've been tattooed by the same person 10 times and you notice your rate is getting a little more cheap, you're receiving a deal. But don't fucking ask for a deal. Just let it go. Let things roll. You know, if you've sent your tattoo artist X amount of recommendations and you send all your buddies to your tattoos and your tattoo artist just says thank you and that's it, that's all you get. You don't get fucking rewarded for getting the thing you want. Pay your tattoo artist a fucking livable wage so they can go home and take care of their family or fucking have as many online subscriptions as they want. It's their fucking life. Netflix, Hulu, pay for that shit for your tattoo artist. Stop asking for a deal. Thank you. If you're working with a budget, you can be upfront about your budget. In your email, you can say, you know, hey, I'm traveling to New York City. I've got about $400. I was wondering if I could get a tattoo from you. What would that tattoo look like? An email like that, if you are saying like $60, you know, you have to understand what a tattoo artist is worth. Remember that a tattoo artist pays shop fees, they pay for their equipment, their needles, their licensing, they tip out their shop hand, you know, and they need to survive. Tattoo artists pay out of pocket for medical in America, and I think that's why we tip tattoo artists in America and Canada. We tip them because, you know, like a server or like a hairstylist, at least half of your price goes to the tattoo shop or the salon or whatever, supplies. So if a tattoo artist quotes you $500, just know that $250 of those dollars go to the shop and your tattoo artist only leaves with $250. This is why we tip, and this is why you can't bargain hunt for tattoos. How to Not Get Tattooed showed a Groupon where they were doing 1-by-1 tattoos for $31. And it was like, what tattoo artist would work for $15? I don't get it. I don't know if there's like a required tip maybe for a tattoo deal like that, but I really recommend you guys be cautious of somebody who is, you know, charging $15 for their skill set, their craft, if they're not an apprentice. So I think that, like I said, you should pay top dollar for your tattoo because it's permanent. You'll have a tattoo longer than you'll have a car. So I think, you know, if you are emailing a tattoo artist and you are embarrassed or nervous about asking for price, you can ask your tattoo artist, like, do you have an hourly rate? I think calling somebody, like calling the shop on the phone, makes this a little bit easier, or requesting a consultation. In all of our consultations in salon, we discuss price. But if you just make the appointment and come in, then your price happens at the end. In your consultation, you know, price will be mentioned. In my back tattoo consultation, price was mentioned. And if price is never mentioned, you can assume that your tattoo artist, you know, it's a luxury service. We don't deserve tattoos. It's just, you don't need a tattoo to live. This is a luxury service. So expect to pay a luxury price tag. I have never been coy about asking for price, but it's gotten to a point where I don't ask because I can pretty much make a judgment on how much a tattoo is gonna cost. Like this, I'm just spitballing, like, but you know, at least three, like at least 4, you know? So I would say talking about price of tattoos is a little more taboo. I have a video where I talk about my most expensive tattoo, my least expensive tattoo, and the comment section, you know, is pretty candid about what they pay for tattoos. You can get a good idea there, but definitely ask your tattoo artist if you don't know. But I would never say to come in with a price. Like, don't be like, I got $60, what can you do for me? I think a tattoo artist would be like, you shouldn't invest that $60 so you can come back with $300. That's what I can do for you. Give you some free financial advice. So a question I get all the time is, how much should you tip your tattoo artist? And And I think in America, the standard for good service is 20 to 25%. This goes for salon, restaurant, you know, any other service you would receive. Tattoos, tattooers work in a service industry. They provide a service to you. So I don't think that tipping them is some like magic number. Like 20 to 25% is kind of the average in America. 30 to 35 is like outstanding service. You can use a tip calculator on your phone if you don't know. It's not, you know, it's not like that. It's pretty standard. It's not a different tip. Like if you tipped your hairstylist 20%, you can tip your tattoo artist 20%. It's still a service. It's not like, oh, I just love my tattoo artist, so what do you think I should start to even 25%, 30%. That's your homie, hook it up. So I do quickly want to talk about deposits. So what is a deposit if you've never been tattooed? A deposit is something if you go in real life to get a consultation, if you go in real life to make an appointment, or even through email, a lot of tattoo artists will ask you to leave a deposit. What is a deposit? Why do we put it in place? Well, if you make an appointment with a tattoo artist, they block off a certain amount of hours in their schedule to dedicate to you, which means they can't tattoo anybody else in that block schedule, only you. If you never show up, it means that someone else didn't go into that block, and your tattoo artist sits at work like this for 3 hours, making no money, and their schedule is blocked off, so there's no opportunity for them to replace you unless they get a walk-in. They can't guarantee that though, which is why they take deposits. And they take minimal deposits considering. If you scheduled a tattoo that was gonna be $400 and you never showed up, at least that tattoo artist gets a $50 deposit. There are salons in Philadelphia that require deposits. And I see it all the time. I see hairstylists all the time who get no call, no shows, and they just sit in the basement, just like nothing else to do. And they just lose all that money. So if, you know, I've forfeited deposits before. They're just something that's put in place to protect your tattoo artists and make sure they at least make money that day, especially if you booked a bigger piece. So if you are filling out paperwork for your deposit, or you are sending a deposit to your tattoo artists, they're gonna tell you this is in case you cancel. They may give you like a time span, like if you cancel within 24 hours, you don't get your deposit back. Within 5 days, you don't get your deposit back. If you think that you might not be able to make it, definitely have a conversation with them about their deposit policy. I saw something on how to not get tattooed where it turned out the kid was 17 years old, and the tattoo artist was like, well, when he signed the paperwork, he consented to being 18, so he forfeits his deposit, and I believe that's totally true. So make sure if you are paying a deposit, that money comes out of your tattoo. You know, that money isn't just to hold your spot. Your tattoo artist puts that money into your tattoo. And honestly, I always love that, because I feel like, I don't know, like even though it's my money, when I put a deposit down, I'm like, whew, that part of the tattoo is taken care of. I don't have to worry about that anymore. So I like deposits. When tattoo artists take deposits from me, it's like a down payment. I'm like, sure. So I just want to end this video saying that I understand that all of this information, I feel like I may have yelled at you and punished you with. This is all information that I have collected myself through trial and error. A tattoo the size of an apple, like, I'm so sorry, Max Coon. Or, you know, just from experience. You know, I've emailed tattoo artists where I did say too much, and they came back and they were like, that's a great story. Can you tell me in inches? And, you know, I just want to let you guys know that tattoos are lifetime commitments, and you have to, I want to keep tattoos valuable, and I want to keep tattoos valuable by honoring the tattoo artists and their craft, respecting tattoo artists as providers of a skill set, respecting their boundaries, honoring their value, paying full price. This keeps tattoos, you know, a luxury service. This keeps tattoos valuable and honored craft. And I want to be somebody who wears beautiful tattoos that, you know, are sacred. You know, no like budget tattoos, bargaining tattoos, and like undermining a tattoo artist in their craft. I have so many friends who are tattoo artists, and even me as an apprentice at a salon, it's fucking hard. It's hard. It's a touch industry, it's a service industry, and making everybody happy isn't a guarantee. I think, you know, the harder we do to push people out of tattooing who, you know, are manipulative, who are looking for a deal, who can't respect tattoo artists' boundaries, you know, push them out and, you know, take this information, apply it to what you need. But I just put it out there because I want you guys to get a tattoo that you want. I want you to feel confident when you're emailing a tattoo artist, and I want tattoo artists to not be afraid of their clients who may be uneducated, because like Justin said, there are people who are in the industry and there are people who want to wear tattoos who don't understand industry lingo or conversations. You know, tattooing can still be taboo. How do we know if we're not sharing this information? And I don't want to coddle you guys. I just want to share what I know and to help you and to talk about some of the shit that happens on how to not get tattooed. So this video isn't affiliated with them. I don't know who owns that Instagram. It's just something I follow for kicks, and you know, you can follow it too if you want to check it out. I hope some of this information helped you. If it doesn't apply to you, you know, maybe you learned something and you can lend it to your friends, or maybe, you know, you're fully tattooed. You know, if that's the case, leave your comments down below about how things have changed since you started getting tattooed versus now. I mean, I feel like I've had to adjust with Instagram and Tumblr culture and stuff, but I do remember getting tattooed locally, or like driving an hour and, you know, checking up on my stencil and paying the deposit and hopping from shop to shop to figure out what I liked. And I would love to lend that information to you guys to help protect tattoo artists, honor their craft, and make things easier for you. So thank you, Justin, for lending your experience to the channel. Thank you, How to Not Get Tattooed, for putting that shit out there. Some of that stuff is grueling. Anyway, let me know. All the videos I mentioned I will link down below, so you can check those out as well. Leave a comment on those videos so I know that they were helpful for you. And don't forget to subscribe. I love you guys so much, and until next time, bye.